Season of the Lost has just begun. You have your Vex Mythoclast, you heard fusion rifles got buffed, you heard Vex Mythoclast itself got hugely buffed, and you have no idea how to benefit from it, aside from just plain using it. So I'm here to tell you how you can both benefit from using Vex and perks and chargeable light mods and various other details that can benefit you into making Vex even more lethal and make it Wex. Dumb joke, I know. But, starting from the top, let me preface this. This is intended as a PvE build. Do not expect this to be Crucible good, do not expect this to be good for Gambit, maybe. This is strictly PvE. I need to slay things with Vex, I need better damage, and I just plain want to boost my luck with killing things. So let me start by saying, your kinetic doesn't really matter. You can choose your kinetic how you want. The best probable thing to actually benefit from this would be something with Osmosis, but at the same time, the easiest thing is Traveler's Chosen, and that is another exotic, so that's already out the window. But aside from that, kinetic can waver. Same thing with your heavy. It honestly just needs to be kind of a rocket to pair with this, but like I said, starting off from the building blocks, the basic two things the start of this build gets. And that, of course, is Vex Mythoclast. Now, of course, you'll need to get this from Vault of Glass, either on normal or master mode. It really depends on you. But to describe the buffs it got this season, basically, better damage, faster rate of fire, both in auto form and linear fusion form, as well as bonus linear fusion rifle damage, as well as a rework to its catalyst, so now, while in full auto mode, final blows with this weapon grant bonus damage, accuracy, and stability for a short duration. So basically, tunnel vision meets rampage for free just by finishing the catalyst. Now, on top of said bonus damage from overcharge and doing all that, you of course still have linear fusion. Its charge time was sped up to be alongside of normal fusion rifles and a bit of a damage buff too, so it's actually worth using a fusion rifle now, as well as the linear fusion mode, because I forget that it's just basically a fusion rifle. But that is the important part going forward for our other parts. Now, our second weapon is HEZEN Vengeance. That is the rocket from Vault of Glass. It could be time lost if he got it, because that would really help put on adept big ones, because why not? But the basic building blocks is Overflow. Now, you can use, honestly, any rocket you prefer, but right now, I'm just going with my Overflow Vorpal with Impact Casing HEZEN Vengeance. Also, because it is solar, it applies to the next big important part, which is Path of the Burning Steps, a Titan-specific exotic, which I do emphasize is intended mainly for Titans. I'm not really hating on other characters, but this exotic is really what makes this build happen. Now, it reads as follows. Solar final blows periodically grant you an escalating bonus to weapon damage. Now, that periodically is like 1 in 3, maybe 1 in 2, but it's pretty often. Rarely you'll ever go more than 5 kills without getting a buff from this. And even if you don't get a additional stack, it will still refresh the damage buff. As well, you resist stasis, where you are hard to slow or freeze the stasis, and when you break out, you don't take damage, as well as creating a burst of solar energy around yourself. Now, this comes more into play this season specifically because they updated some more enemies in the wild, like the Fanatics Ravagers and a few Taken Knights that have boomers. There is more stasis in the wild outside of Europa. So you might actually find yourself in more scenarios where you need to resist stasis and thus passive stasis buff. Now, going from top to bottom with my armor, this is basically the mods that you'll want to spec out for to get this build really going on the roll. Now, starting from the top, we have Quick Charge. Now, this is basically a method to get Charged with Light, described as becoming charged with light by rapidly defeating multiple combatants with fusion rifles or shotguns. Now, of course, Vex Mythoclast is our fusion rifle, and the multiple combatants, literally, if you're using a Masterwork Vex and you make an orb, you got charged with light. Literally, it's kill 2 things relatively quickly, and you will get charged with light. Now, as well, the bonus perk for greatly increasing ready speed of fusion rifles, shotguns, submachine guns, and swords is definitely a additional 2. I have a free dexterity bonus. I don't really need it, but a faster draw time, a faster ADS, and, you know, it just kind of helps out along the way. Now, moving to our gauntlets, these will be a pair of solar gauntlets. Now, combining the fusion rifle loader from the season pass this week, and if you need to, even possibly unstoppable fusion for the champion scenarios, if you so want to, what we have in our Charge with Light mod is supercharged. This makes it so I can have 2 additional stacks of Charge with Light, up to a maximum of 5, But currently, I have a maximum of my Charge Light stacks to 4. Now, moving on to the chest plate. This one is honestly kind of a floater. I didn't really have much of a good use for it. Honestly, if you were the more cautious type or the more panicky type, I could say use Protective Light. It did get a little bit of rework. It may not be as powerful, but for those that are a little more active, you could use Energy Converter Tube, because trust me, when you're killing as many things as you are, and you have as many Charge of Light, you might not have rocket ammo, so you might not be using the main important parts of this, so you might want just an extra method to use your charge without just holding on to 4 stacks without using them. But the primary method of using Charge with Light is in the weapons. You might have spotted it when I inspected Path of Burning Steps, but that is Argent Ordnance. Now, last season, you might have used this a lot just because of the fact that it was very cheap and was Unimod. And when I say Unimod, that means it was all elemental affinities. Solar, Arc, or Void Armor could use this mod, but now it's just back on Solar. But, basically, this describes as you get bonus damage rockets for every stack of Charge with Light. Now, right now, that means we have 4 stacks of Charge with Light. You're wondering why specifically this. And that pairs with my HEZEN Vengeance super well. Because of Overflow, I can burn half of my Charge with Light, 2 quick shots, with 2 rapid-fire rocket shots from a HEZEN Vengeance. Now, the last and the honest cherry on top, if I had it, but I don't yet because I'm not as far as I wish I could be on the artifact, would be the dreaded Particle Deconstruction. Now, for those that aren't paying attention or live under a rock, this is basically Breach and Clear redone for fusion rifles, where it reads as such: dealing damage to a combatant with fusion or linear fusion rifles, grant bonus damage with other fusion rifles or linear fusion rifles against the combatant for a short duration. This effect stacks up to 5 times. Now, if you're using a normal fusion rifle or something that has multiple shots, don't worry about that effect stack, because think of it this way. If a normal fusion rifle has 5 shots in the burst, every single projectile applies a stack. So if you use a normal fusion rifle, it's full blast. If you're using a linear or something that fires once, you get 1 per shot, which in the case of Vex Mytho, it might be the easiest just because you have to chain about 5 shots and you have permanent debuff. Now, this is essentially melting point slash breaching clear with anything you shoot, and need I remind you, Vex Mythoclast is officially a fusion rifle. It does benefit from particle deconstruction. As well possible, like I said, if you so want to, you can also bring it along. It could be also unstoppable if you bring it into the right mod scenarios. You might lose supercharge. You might just downgrade to charged up for 1 additional stack, but the choice is yours in the long run. Now, the last thing, like I said, it would be Particle Deconstructor right here. And the last little tidbit is kind of just a little addition, is Radiant Light. Now, this one is one I think people are sleeping on just because, basically, casting your super causes nearby allies to be charged with light in addition to a 20 strength damage, or a 20 strength buff, excuse me, if you have another arc mod. Now, this pairs with Quick Charge up here for the dexterity bonus and the bonus strength. Just generally, as you can see, I haven't put on any strength mods, at least that I can think of, and my strength is a natural 70 with this mod. Now, that would be the last thing that, honestly, I use it just because of how many times are you using your super in these scenarios. Also, who doesn't want to be charged with light, even if you don't really have a setup for it? Now, that is all the details. That is, like I said, the kinetic can be a floater. You can honestly use any rocket in this build if you so want to. And there is 1 floater mod that you can pick and choose what you want. But if you want to carbon copy this mod, use as follows: Vex Mythoclast, a rocket launcher of some sort, preferably one with overflow. Now, quick charge to get charged with light with a bonus dexterity boost for Vex. Supercharge for more spots of charged with light so you can have multiple rockets or multiple benefits at once. Then you have 1 floater. You can be protected light, an additional charged with light method, some other expenditure that uses your charged with light, but then most importantly, Path of the Burning Steps that essentially just gives you more and more damage and stasis resistance against, well, stasis. And the last thing on top would be the Particle Deconstructor, which would be Breach and Clear for fusions in the end. Now, if this helped, it would definitely be a help to the channel if you like, subscribe, or do whatever you want. I have been using this build for a while. I even did it last season, but it didn't exactly shine. But then Vex got buffed, and we got Particle Deconstruction, so this build will likely shine now. Or that. My name is Matt Scorpion, and this is Vex Burning Steps. And I will see you in the next one.